Hello everybody, my name is Christian Quick and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about a writing system that everyone can read. This whole video is going to be mainly done in my GIMP. I have an app that I got my script in my left hand. Who's ready to get started? Alright, so many languages use the Latin letters to make an alphabet while some other ones use kanji. So we have spelling, but the kanji use radicals that come up into pieces to put things together. And then one of the difficulties that come with Latin is that even though we have the same letters, we disagree multiple times going from person to or language to language on what the sound should be. So the common CH, in English we have chance, change, or church, but the French words that we have makes it the sh from chef, ricochet, or chandelier, and then the Greek words that we've gotten like Chris, character, or chaos have a K sound. They're all CH, but they're all completely different sounds, which causes many confusion. So if you have a nice long word, sure, another language may be able to read it like Newman ultramicroscopic silicovolcanic coniosis, but beyond that, there's a lot of people who may not know that pneumo is the lung, no ultra is just not very big, also microscopic is also very, very tiny. Silico is from silicon, volcano is, well, from a volcano, and coniosis is like swelling from within the lungs. So it's swelling within the lungs due to very fine dust, sand, or quartz. That's really all it is. But kanji have four parts to them. There's four types. So there's the first one, which is things that are supposed to look like what they represent. So this first one is a nice little tree. So it's just supposed to be exactly as it looks like. The second type is for the abstraction. So we have this thing coming up from this area, so it represents up, and then we have this down, and this is supposed to be the abstraction. So if one is up, then this is down. And so this is like, you can't really draw an up or a down, but this helps give us the idea of what we need to give us the direction that we can make these thoughts written down onto paper. And the third type is kombi, such as we have this is what they call a person. And then we have this one, which is another tree, like we've described here. And when you put a person and a person relaxes onto a tree, it's relaxing. This top part is, it's simplified, but it used to look a little bit better. It used to be, this was white, and then this was string and string, and then strings around white was supposed to be a drum. And when you have a drum on top of a tree, not like literally on top, but I guess around the tree, it was supposed to mean fun. And then we have this radical over here where we can mix the grass with fun, and fun grass is medicine, in quotes, medicine. So the fourth type, there is about 80 to 90% of kanji where the left side is going to be this M standing for meaning, while the right side is the R for the reading. And so over here, this one is pronounced as hol. So even though it's mixed with this one, it's still represented as kol. And this one is supposed to be string. And so the word has something to do with string, but is pronounced kol. A lot of them for Japanese. So Japanese uses them. They borrowed them from China, and China's got 413 syllables, while Japan only has about 100. And this causes a lot of problems because Japan has a lot less vocal ability to be able to pronounce the same thing that China does. Now, for an English example, we have multi, but they can't do the L in two cases. They can't do the ML blend that we do when we do mul, and they can't do the R sound or the L sound by itself because their L is their R mixed together. It's somewhere in between, so that's maru. And they can't do T, so they do chi, so it's maruchi for multi. Very different word, but there it is. But and so I also have this nice example of some Chinese characters, some the Hanzai, so all of these. And here's the Japanese pronunciation in kunyomi, and they've all turned into shi because it's just easier for them, and that's just how it worked out for them, I guess. But some of them confuse me. Like one of my favorite my personal favorites is so you might know this from the kunyomis as ao, but in the onyomis, meaning it came from the Chinese, this was, I'm gonna guess, Xing, xing. No, it's more like a qing. But like, I'm not Chinese, so I definitely said it wrong. Don't worry. The Chinese or the Japanese saw this qing, and they were like se or shou. And what's interesting about this is they actually have a qing. It's not the same because it doesn't have the G at the end, but, and technically the CHI that isn't like a CH, it's a different sound, but they have this one, qin, which means rare. And instead of giving it the same pronunciation, they gave it se and shou. And shou is also interesting because there is 5 types of shou that I know of, which can be reward, illness, quotient, commander, or few, and they're all shou. But they couldn't give the proper like gene. I would have felt like is much closer. It is more common that they do use say, and so we're going to take a look at some examples that use say because it is the more common reading. And on the left side we have water, and then we have, well, this is only supposed to help you, it's say. So this water that's pronounced say is meaning pure or clean. If you have the sun here, the sun radical, so it's supposed to be cleared up, something in the sky, and then we have this white, or not white, rice. Rice is white, and if you've ever cleaned rice, you'll understand the spirit color. You'll see this association with spirits and rice more than once. They can also be refined. Now, what would happen if English borrowed kanji, in a sense? So I have kanojis, is what I call them. But the idea is, imagine if, because you guys can't read this unless you conveniently know Chinese or Japanese. So I'm going to try and give you the kanmojis, and we'll explain what they exactly are later. But basically, what if English borrowed from China and has a symbol? So I'm going to try and make this in a way that you can resemble it. So we have this little character here with his little legs and the 2 eyes. This is going to represent an animal. But if the animal has wings, this is kind of like a wing shape, like if you have a little penguin wing, so it's wing shaped. So if it's a winged animal, it will have this one instead. It's a variant of animal. So we have this one, so I did D and then a G, and then it here, like, it tells you that the DG is the dog, because the animal is there. Same thing, we have a CT, and they have an animal, so that's cat. And then we have the winged animal, and then we have the DK for duck. And if we flipped it, right? So what if we did TW? So TW is that to sound, to, and so we have this the number. So I have the symbol for number, the symbol for above, which was taken from the example from earlier, and then we have this symbol for going. So basically, if I can put that T on that W and I combine them and pretend that they're the same, this is more kind of like how kanji would represent. So here we can see that this is pronounced to, this is pronounced to, and this is pronounced to. But how can we tell them apart? Well, we need to put a symbol that represents the idea that is supposed to give us our hint of what it actually is. So if it is a number that's pronounced to, when we recognize this as, oh, well, that's 2. Well, the number 2. And what if it means above? Well, we have this 2, which is like too much. So if something's too expensive, it's above expensive almost. So this is a interesting way to represent 2. And then we also have going, and we have going to. So the locational place. So kanji can be a little bit difficult to understand because they're thousands of years old and they have come far from what they their meanings kind of look like. So I have some representative kanmojis, which is the simplified versions that I have made that help better intuitively fit more foreign learning. So like this radical is the one that means beast, and so I put the animal here for it. So I think this is much more readable as animal. This one is the kanji for fish, but I think this one is a much easier to draw, easier to understand, and that's the point of the kanmojis. Kanmojis are basically just an updated form, which can be like a little cuter, you know, but here's their bird. They got this little thing going on, and this is my bird. It just got the wings on it. Here they have meat, and they got the lines. Yeah, it looks like meat. Like if you look at a fish, like it does look like fish meat. I'll agree with that, but they use it for all kinds of meat. And personally, I like this little steak better. I'm not too sure why. But here we have bone. To me, nothing about this represents a bone whatsoever. I know that this kanji can represent like meat or something that's on the inside as well as the moon. So I kind of understand that part. I'm not too sure about the whole thing together, but instead of thinking like this, we could just draw a bone like this. Let me tell you, these draw just so much faster, right? This one is an eyeball. I couldn't tell you how that looks like an eyeball. They do also have a different one, interesting that I have this color. That should have two lines in it, but it's like Midu where they give it the legs as well. Um, so yeah, if you have like the Midu, we change that back to black. My apologies. But I think the simple little eyeball is going to be great. And if you say that these two look very similar, I got to tell you, they have there's this kanji that kind of looks like this, and then there's another one that like looks like this. And because this one is like smaller and doesn't have the stumpy legs, it means mouth. While this one that has bigger with the legs, it's a container, like a box. And so you might see there is a kanji that means like the number of times, and then you have the mouth inside of the thing, but actually they're two different completely radicals, but they both look like a box. So I don't want to hear it if you want to send it. These two look similar. Like look at this one and this one. I mean, there's just a little bit. They just picked that slant up and extended that. After a while they just get similar. But this is my version of ear. This is their version of ear. This is their kokoro. This is my kokoro, which means heart. This is ashi, meaning leg or foot. So here's my leg and foot. This is ito, meaning string, but here's my string. Here we have kusa, meaning like grass. Here's my plants. Here we have mizu, so here's my water. Here we have oto, meaning sound, and then I just drew a little musical note instead. Here, I'm not too sure the reading for this one, but we have gas, like steam. It means steam. I just forgot the reading for it. This one is iro, meaning color, and color is where things are getting interesting because I made a whole nother thing just for color. So we're gonna explain it for just a moment. So here they have their color. This is white, this is yellow, this is black, this is red, and this is blue. The original meaning from Qing meant blue or green, but in Japanese they also have midori for green, but originally it was blue or green. And actually, if you didn't know, when you have like the crosswalks with like or not crosswalks, but like the cars, they say that the light turns blue, but it turns green. Well, anyway, so here we have my triangle, and a triangle is perfect for this because we have a prism of color. And here we have our black where it's a dot and here it's a white. And so if it was gray, I would put the circle on the inside. So here we have the inside and here we have the circle. So that's more of a gray color. And the RGB functions work like this. We have red, we have green, and we have blue. So if it is red and green, this one would be yellow, just like how it is here. The green and blue would make cyan, and the red and blue would make magenta. And a lot of people ask, what about purple? Because a lot of people think that red and blue make purple because of subtractive light, not additive light. What purple is in additive light is you have two blues and one red, right? So instead of doing like two blues and one red, I want to put it in a simple symbol. And some people suggested to put it closer to this side. But if I had something like this, somebody could easily mistake that for this by having them the same symbol. So my alternative solution would have been to just pick up the line from blue. So if it's like this and it goes like this, that's two blue, one red, and then if it was the other direction, like closer to the green, then it would be two blue, one green. So like this one, if it's over there, this is two red, one green, which would be orange. So there's a bunch of, but this is how I designed all of the colors. And then I didn't know what to do for brown. Brown is a shade of orange, but is a unique shade. So I just said, Weeball, and I just made this a unique symbol to represent brown because brown is a unique color. But these are my kanojis. that we have going on. I think that these are better representation for people. So how can we use them? Didn't mean to reveal some answers. So if we have some symbols, right? So we have an animal. This is the symbol I have for stripes. Here we have white, and here we have black. So think of an animal with stripes that is white and black, and I would hope that you would think it is a zebra. Look at that. It's a zebra. So then we go into our next one. Now we have a winged animal that is cold, white, and black. And I would hope that as a winged animal that's cold, white, and black, that you would guess a penguin, Mr. Penguin. And then the last one is we have another animal. This one's got stripes. This one is 2 red, 1 green, so that is orange. And then we have the little v for small, but this one's all full size, not half size. So this one means big. So we have an animal, stripes, orange, and is big, and that would be higher. Boom. So this is how we can combine symbols together. And so if it is an official word, then this means that a bunch of people have agreed that this is close enough to the object. Because the problem with this thing is nothing in here tells you exactly, like nothing in here tells you exactly I'm a penguin. Nothing in here tells you exactly that I'm a zebra. It's the collective ideas together that are close enough that people will then agree and say, all right, that's close enough to this object that I can understand from here. And there's a certain point before you have to give up. Like, it's very hard to describe a cat. The one that they have for a cat in the kanji is they have the beast, the grass, and then the fields, right? So the beast of the grass fields, I can see it, I can understand it. So so that's the thing where we have the I'm doing the same concept here where we have 4 symbols. We have the animal, stripes, white, black, because we're trying to get people to understand what I'm talking about in very few concepts. And this is very important when making a universal language because the many times that you may not, like, what if this was Spanish, right? I don't know what the Spanish word for zebra is, but I'm afraid it might be zebra still. But the thing is, if the word was so different, this gives you an idea of what we're talking about. Even if you don't know exactly what it is, right? It gives you a much bigger clue. And we'll talk about how to zero in and really nail the word when we get to that point. So now we're gonna get up to the next section, up to the top here. I'm gonna go over here, and then we're gonna scoot over here. All right, so and I like that. Perfect, perfect. So the other part of the left side, we talked about the meanings. So now we have all these fancy symbols, but then we have the right side. This is the readings, how to pronounce it, and we still have this problem where there are so many ways that languages disagree on things. And luckily, there's something that came out called the IPA, the International Phonetical Alphabet. They've organized so many sounds over many languages, putting all the stuff together over many years. But this is basically the solution. I need this, but I need it simplified. I hand counted just this graph. Uh, Ignored this one, I ignored this one, and then I just counted this one. So just by making those counting of 2 graphs, I've said that there's 127 consonants and 33 vowels. So knowing that syllables are palindromes, meaning that you can, it's the same in the beginning as it does in the ending, like the way it reflects, like race car, like RACE, and then the car, CAR. So it's backwards. Maybe if I spell it backwards, RACECAR. So a palindrome is here. Then we have 2 C's. Then we have 2 A's. Then we have 2 R's at the end. So that's palindrome. So it's basically reflective, like a mirror. And so here we have the C, the V, and then the C. So if I say bro, then I can say orb. Essentially, that's how that works together. I put vowels in there, but we'll talk about those later. That's how that works. So basically, and then this would just be a collective of syllables because a syllable depends on the vowel. And I've already made a video on syllables, and that's when we really talk about what a sowl is. Sal is a semi-vowel. They can fit in between the syllable without breaking it, like how I did the verb. It doesn't break the syllable at all, but typically they are the L, R, W, and Y. And actually, another feature that they have is that they can fit in N substitution for other vowels. So if we have the word purple, there actually is no vowel that's being pronounced. You're just going per, like you're gonna say like perfect or something. I don't know. But then you pull. Like if I said oh my goodness, I can't think. But we'll just continue. Okay, so we have brown. So here we have once again the LRW. We can see how they just kind of stick themselves, and they show up everywhere in English. Everywhere, all over the place. But essentially, they can, and we recognize this as an R-controlled sound, but realistically, it's just taking over the entire. It's taking over the entire vowel. So it can be its own vowel as well as its own substitution between. But we are not focusing on the sounds that we can make because I've already made a video about the sounds and it's called The Truth About Syllables. What we're focusing on is the efficiency part. That's the part that I'm going to be discussing about now. And we have the rules for efficiency. There's 3 rules that we must follow. Rule number 1. Every sound should only take 1 stroke to draw. And then I just kind of quickly went through the alphabet as an example. If I tried to draw everything, like that was my K with one stroke. A stroke is a dot, a line, curve, or a circle. If a circle is met and you get more than a circle, it's interesting. It's like if you were to do a circle and then change direction is like 2 strokes. There's very unique rules to how a stroke is still considered a stroke, but basically, I mean, it basically comes down to dot, line, a curve, and circle. That's really what it is. But rule number 1, every sound should only take 1 stroke to draw. Rule number 2, each syllable should have, wait, what? Each syllable should have each of the strokes connected in a seamless line. So cursive per syllable, fancy, but also remember this example does not follow rule 1 because like over here we have a lot of messiness going on. We will find actual examples later where we combine it with also our 3rd rule. If you are only using the writing, if you're only writing without kanojis, then you should connect syllables that are part of the same word with an apostrophe. And I chose the apostrophe just because I think it suits. So technically we have I'm, but if you were to, you technically say like I'm like this. And so there's no reason, like it doesn't break, like here we have a vowel, a sound, and a consonant, so it's still 1 syllable. So we would only give it an apostrophe if it was like apostrophe, like this. So you just kind of go through theirs. This would help with foreigners, letting them know that what you're pronouncing is part of the same word. So that's really what it's for. But let's now talk about the new writing system. So if I put all the rules together, I want to make a writing system that can be drawn both horizontally and vertically. I do not have an example for vertical, but you can imagine it after you see the horizontal. Note, this is still a work in progress. I've been working on this for a while, but I'm still working on the meanings with the app that I have. And I'll be going into this part later, but I still want to show you what it theoretically would look like. And so like I said, how they're palindromes, we need to make sure that there is a starting and an ending point. So whatever, so the thing is, a sound or a vowel must have something coming in. You draw your letter, and then you draw out into your vowel if there is one, or the consonant or whatever. The thing is, the sounds are generally always trapped, so you have to be ready for them to be trapped. So how I fix this is I have the W, R, Y, and L in the corner. So if I wanted to draw a W, I would be drawing on what I call the horizon line. I'd be going up to my W, and then I'd continue. Or I could do my R, or I could do my Y, or I could do my L. The thing is, with the direction that it's pointing at in my horizon line is what's going. And like I said, there's that cursive where it's going through, and everything is still that one stroke where we're just tipping, 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 tipping. So it just makes it nice and easy. The other rule that, well, it's not really a rule, it's just something that I've added for convenience, is this horizon line and then the flats and vibrants. So these are the same sound. One of them just vibrates, the sa and za. So if I have like the horizon line is what I call it. So here we have our horizon line, and I want to draw the S and Z. So if the core symbol looks like this, then if I draw it on the top, this is the sa, and then this would be the za. I'm putting the ah sound, but the point is this and z. So that's how they work with the horizon line. Like I said, we'll also see some more examples. And then the other thing is, so we know that the ending could be anywhere in this vicinity, and that it somehow has to touch this so that it can be part of the horizon line. Then we can do all our vowel magic that we need to, then we need to do our vowel magic. So the thing is, if all the vowels are the corners, right, then all the vowels need to be straight up and down. This way we have everything cannot, like, there's no overlapping space. And then you would do the same thing. Then you would have your vowel magic at the end here, and then you would have your consonants, which can have an ending. So this is perfect for giving it that perfect script writing that you need for each syllable. It probably looks like a little bit of a mess, but it's best I can do. So here's that reflection. So we only need to focus on the first part because we only just need to reflect it, and then we can see the like if this was how it was written, then it's not connected in one line, but it's literally going to reflect. So those are my vowel examples. And here are the vowels I put in. I put in these examples. So this is like the o, and this is it, and and a, and u, like put, put, but, bought, and boot. So all depending on what sound you make depends on what that center. And like I said, all of them have to go either straight up or straight down. So here we have the long circle, the short circle, the long line, the short line, the flat line, and then once again the same thing in the opposite directions. And these are kind of tonal. The goal that I tried to make here was the highest sound o e e. So you can kind of see how it gets kind of like quieter. So the o e e a a or an oo. So that's how they drop in volume. Someone might disagree me on the order of those, but it's just the order that I put them in, and I tried to smartly put that together by doing that. And now we can talk about the most crazy looking thing, the syllables. Like I said, it's a work in progress, so don't get too stressed over by it because I'm not going to use it for a while. Let's take a look at the syllables that I have planned. So I know it looks like a lot, and that's probably because it a little bit is, but here's how this works. So here we have these core symbols. So see how there's this C, and then there's this U. So this top chart is talking about if you're starting with that letter. So here we have, like I said, the starting is the S and the Z. So that C is going to make that shape. So here we can see that C and that C in here. So they're still in here. And then you would just draw, and because this is the starting letter, they all have to end on, ooh, that would have destroyed me. They all have to end here because they're all starting. So they all have to end at the end. And you can see how they kind of get drawn based off of where you can put them. But if we are talking about the core symbol, right? It's either the top or the bottom. It depends on what you're drawing, depends on where you're starting and stopping. So if I'm doing an E or a Z, I'm starting from the bottom and I'm drawing that into the horizon line. And if I'm doing an S, then I start at the top and go to the bottom. So that's how these core symbols works. So if we do the same thing, so we have this T and D, you can see they both have this C position, the C position. So if I start here because I want this ending to go through, so I make the C, but now this is the horizon line, but I'm drawing to the right, so it makes this loop just for efficiency, so we just kind of loop it back, and that's why that happens. And then for the other one, so we would want to start at the bottom and do the same thing. We do that upside down and then realize we want to go, we're drawing to the right, so we just kind of flip it. So we kind of do this multiple times. So we have this SH, right? So same thing. So if you're starting here and then you're ending here, that's how you're drawing that out. And then if we flip it, you start to draw here, but then you can't just like go through it, so we just draw a little bit under it. That's what causes the symbol. So you can kind of go through them and see that's how they kind of work. The M&M, they are basically the same. One just kind of starts at the top, the other one starts at the bottom. And these also kind of look weird because they both kind of have the same ending point but different starting points, so their shapes get funky. And if those are all the fronts, right? So this is the C, and I said when it is a palindrome and it gets flipped, then we have to flip it. So then we would do the same thing. So if the C is forward, then we draw the C backwards, and that's this. So this is the reflected. So we have this. So this red dot represents we're coming off of whatever it is that we're talking about, and we're finishing up that syllable with this sound. So here we can see that it is the same thing as this, but it's just flipped. So they're all just flipped now. And for the N, right, we're only flipping them in the that vertical axis. So because they're only getting flipped that vertical axis, nothing generally changes here. So if you're drawing it like this, then when you draw it backwards, then you would just continue to draw the reflection. And this would be the reflection. And here we can see that same shape and that same shape here. So that is the reflected. So you would basically start with the sound. So you would go through all of them. These are all their core symbols, their reflected shapes is what I wanted to show you. So now we have all of the syllables, which can go into a sound if one is there, like brown. And then we can go into a vowel, go back to a sound if we need one, and then finish it off with an ending consonant. I have some example sentences of what these look like. So like my leg broke. And so as that we have the M, the and the E, because it's my, and then we have the L, E, and G, leg, and the B, O, B. The BR gets kind of combined, so brr, O, and the E is silent to make this long, which gives it the O sound. And then I added in these little symbols here. So these are those kanojis, and they can combine together. So this one is like self or I, and this is a thing, matter, or object. So this is a I object, which is seen as my. Leg is a core word, so it only gets one symbol. It just gets leg, and this is an official word. So, because all core words are official words, so if it's leg, it won't change. Broke, I tried to draw, it's the combination of, so crushed, this is the symbol for something that's been crushed. And because when something's crushed, it turns to powder, I just drew a symbol of powder to represent crushed. And this is something that means like, so division, so it's to cut, divide, something like that. So now we have something that's crushed and divided, and that I would feel like is broke. I'm rich. So we have I'm, and here we can actually see the my, right? And then we have that beginning to and the y, and then we have the e, and m. So look at that, how they're all together like that. Interesting. And then we have the I, and ch. Rich. I'm rich. E. So here we have I directly. I and I am. I guess technically they could be two different words, or we could put them together like this. They're basically, well, no, they could probably be split. That's okay. We have this as person as I, and then we have here as rich. And rich is, I have money. This is many, and then this is a person. So money, many, person, rich. I guess if I don't know, I think that kind of has a little bit of sense to it. And the last example that I have in here where we're going to mix them before we show you the app and show what happens when we cross languages, because these are all just English. So we have fish, love, and bread. So here we have the fish, and then love, and then bread. So we have here a fish, a little heart for love, and then, ooh, this gets crazy. So we have a plant product, we have brown, and then we have hard outsides. So I'm basically, this is not an official word. It is just what I just created on the spot because I just felt like I needed to fill in that as best as I could, and this is just what I could think of at the time without really consulting other people, but that's okay because it's a non-official word. But we have a plant product, brown, hard outside. And I feel like to me, if I guessed many times, I could probably guess bread eventually, especially because bread is so nice and generic. But like I said, yeah, I don't know. But now we have all these symbols, we can kind of understand what they are. And the idea is, what if, so this whole part, the writing, the whole writing is coming later. We're not I'm not focusing on the writing just yet. I'm focusing on the words and what symbols they match to. I'll be working on this after. So not yet. Which is so it's a work in progress. So nothing to worry about. That's just all how it is. Let's take a look because we're going to be focusing on just these symbols with the words. What happens when, like, let's say these were official words, and I actually have my app on here, Kanji Builder. So I should put my UI in English. Okay, and then we have English. Awesome, English to English. So we have those same sentences. My leg broke. I am rich. I actually split it in here, and the way it's split in this one is grammar and facts. So am is a grammar word, and the grammar's purpose is to state a fact. So grammatical fact, basically. Because when I say, fact, I am cool, right? I'm stating a fact, or at least that's what I think I am. So here we have my, and here we can see the symbol a little different. So obviously we just have I. So here we also have the person and thing, but we also have human in here. None of these words are official words except leg. Leg is the only official word in here. That's okay. Oh, and I is also official. Anyways, totally okay. So the thing is, let's say that these were official words, right? Because like I said, so these are all temp words. They're not official yet. And they could be, but they're not official yet. But if they were, what would happen is you would learn these, and then when I switch the language to another, you would say, "Oh, look, they are the same symbols." And then if I switch it to Spanish, you'd be like, "Oh, look, I can I've seen these in English, right? If I know English and I've seen them in English, then when I read another language, then it doesn't matter what these are. As you can tell, it really doesn't matter what they are. I can understand them as long as I can understand the English, and that's the point of these. Ooh, did the fish change? It did. It's missing one. Oh, this one has food in it. This one does not have food in it. But it's basically, I mean, come on. Fish life and then fish food life. I mean, that's still basically fish. You could still guess that. So, um, yeah, that's basically how it works. And then here we have my cool little app. And then if you notice that some of the translations are wrong, which they probably are because I quickly rushed this through and I didn't verify with anyone if any of the translations are correct. What you could do is we could go so the English where this one's got the fish. Do I have another one where it's just temp stamped? So you can see how they all say temp stamped. So let's say I thought this was the correct word. What I can do is I can click on this one and I change it. And I'm like, oh, this is the correct word. Then I can do save context. And then it will save it into these board of sentences. And then now if I was to refresh the page, and then I can do like fish, it should just do. That's embarrassing that didn't work. Well, that's okay. Oh wait, I think it needs to be the sentence. What was it? What was it? What was it? Fish right? So it does this one. Fish love red. And then it fixes it. Okay, because the sentence contexts are context within the sentence. So you know how like every time you change a sentence, sometimes just like because the sentence is a little different, the word's a little different, so that's why the sentence context is sentence based. But yeah, you can change it to whatever one you want, and then it helps you with all the languages that you are reading. This took a while because there is 2 bugs, but I just kind of took it through to do all these. But this is, and then the next part would be, see this part where it has just the English to English, and then if I do like Spanish or whatnot, I want to change, so this is unreadable to me. But if I could change this to this new symbol here, right, and then I could understand where to put this in here, that's why it's still English. Eventually I want it to be that writing system, and then I would be able to have a universal, here's how I pronounce things according to IPA, and so then I'd be following the IPA's diagram. So now I know how to pronounce it, and then I look at these symbols, and then I know what it means. And then we're still going to keep the language on here so that somebody who is a speaker of Russian could understand this, a person of Chinese could still understand this, and then they could say, oh, something about this isn't right, they can fix it, context save it, and then, that's done. So everyone can start to learn, because the point of this the point of this app is to make language learning easier, and the point of this video was what would the most could everyone in the world a language that everyone can understand. And I think that if you have a system telling you exactly how to pronounce things, and then symbols that are easy to understand once you learn them, even in your own language, then yeah, if they can repeatedly go into other things, and you can both fully understand the concept that is written and fully be able to pronounce it, then what's the difference? The only thing that would really trip you up is grammar, because grammar is completely different. And there are some examples that I've seen where even if the grammar swapped, if you have everything else, it basically just sounds like someone's talking incorrectly. If you've talked to a foreigner, you've done it all the time. It happens. It's part of life, but we get used to these things. And language is always changing, so grammar is always changing. So really, in order to understand a person, you just have to get used to the grammar, the way that they speak different. And if you can understand that grammar and why they're speaking that way, and you're understanding their language's grammar, it's really no different than a cultural phrase, right? In Germany, they have phrases like, I think I spider, that is sausage. But if you learn these cultural things, you have a donkey bridge for that. If you learn these cultural things, then you understand them, and that's where it starts to become clear. But that is well, that's my proposal. That is my video. I did talk very quickly because I didn't want my video to be too long. How long is it? 42 minutes. Oh, that's not too bad. I thought it was gonna be another hour video, but because I talk quickly, that's how it is. But that's gonna wrap up for this. If you have any questions, concerns, I would love so much to see some feedback. So thank you guys so much for watching. And oh wait, what's my next video gonna be on? I don't know. Actually, it should be in my thing. Give me one moment. If you're curious. Because here's our reviews, possibly discuss. In the future, I'll discuss the phases to complete a universally understood language and what it would look like. So that is what my next video is going to be on, because I wrote in the script and then my phone turned off because I was just like raw dog and everything. So thank you guys so much for watching, and without further ado,